Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we talk about Madman on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. Stay tuned!
Lower of the campfire, telling of his horror, lost in the woods, just the madman and the stars. Don't laugh at the tale, heed if you call him. The legend is beware the madman Mars. The legend is beware the madman Mars.
Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel, back with another review for you guys. Yes, today we're talking about the 4K release of Madman from Vinegar Syndrome. Before I dive into this, as usual, if you guys would be so kind to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell icon, all that good stuff. Follow me on all the external links down in the description. TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, what else? Twitter. There's a Patreon you can join and get stuff here and there. And of course, get your name in the credits, get a discount on channel merch, all that good stuff. Extra entries in the contest, everything. There's other stuff on there too. I can't remember off the top of my head. Amazon wishlist on there, which I really need to update. I haven't put anything on there in a while. But yeah, just if you want to show some love and support to the channel, you're more than welcome to. If not, the view and the like and subscribe is good enough for me. All right, let's dive into this. First, I want to talk about the release itself. So let's go over the packaging on here. Of course, you have the nice slipcover. I absolutely love this slip. Really like the artwork on this one. This is from the Dude Designs, who does just fantastic artwork for a lot of their releases and other companies as well. And here is the back of the slip with the axe and the block of wood, and then blood dripping and all that good stuff. The spine, you do have a nice shine to the Madman writing up here. That is like the only gloss on the slip is that part. Nothing glossy or anything. Nothing embossed or debossed on the back or anything like that. But you do have your original art like you had on the original release Blu-ray that came out many years ago. Here is your disc art with the new commish art and the original art. And your reverse art is, I believe, the same as the slip. Yep, so I'll just leave that in there. It's the same as the slip cover. But nice art all around. As far as the transfer itself, I was a little bit disappointed in the transfer, but again, I'm sure they did the best they could with what they had to work with the film elements. This is Vinegar Syndrome 78, by the way, so it's the same release number as the original Madman, and they just put a U on the end of it. I believe U. Yeah, U. There's still grain in there, which is fine. I don't mind my older films with some grain still intact. That's fine. The main thing is the scratches in the film. There's definitely noticeable parts of that when they're in the hot tub scene. If you guys have seen the movie, this doesn't really spoil anything for the movie. I'll go ahead and show this scene without the little 2 seconds of nudity. It's really noticeable in that scene. And then there's another scene where they're all in the office of this campground that they're at, and it's really noticeable again there. A couple of other scenes as well, but those are the two that really stick out in my mind where I noticed it the most. Again, I'm sure Vinegar Syndrome did the best they could with the print and everything. I believe this is off the 35 millimeter print. Let's see. Yeah, the original 35 millimeter camera negative, so I'm sure it was just in bad shape. So yeah, I mean, when you're making a movie back in '81 or before, whenever they started filming, you're not thinking about the preservation of the film either. So things happen to it here and there throughout the years. You're not going to think that this is going to be a cult film, 40 years down the road or whatever the case, and you just don't think about those kind of things. So again, I'm sure they did the best they could with it. It does pop a little bit more than the Blu-ray in certain scenes, especially when they're around the campfire at the beginning and a couple of other scenes. It goes from kind of grainy to really vibrant and looks amazing, and then goes to scratches in the film. It's kind of three different variations going on here, but you know, again, I'm sure it's the best they could possibly get. Other than that, the audio is fantastic on it. As far as the film itself, this is one I had not seen in a really long time, and I really couldn't remember what it was about this movie. Like, what made this movie special to be one that people really adore and were really excited for this 4K release, and why this film still holds up today and people are still excited for it. And rewatching it, I really don't know, to be honest. It's not a terrible film by any means. It's a decent 80s slasher flick. The only thing for me is it drags a little bit. There's some scenes that go on, I think, a little bit too long when they're running through the woods, or there's a scene where one of the girls is running through the kind of kitchen area more towards the end of the film. That just seems like unnecessary. I don't know. It got a little bit boring here and there, and like I said, the scenes just dragged on a little more than I think they needed to in certain parts. Aside from that, there's no real backstory to Madman Mars. I mean, yeah, they say that he like kills his wife and his kids, but they say they don't know why. There was no real reason to it. So this guy just slaughters his family, and now he's this legend around the campfire that if he hears his name, he's gonna come after people and fucking kill them. But there's no real, rhyme or reason to why he does what he does, which is fine. You don't need a deep story line in a slasher flick. But it would have been nice to, maybe had a troubled childhood, or something happened to him. His wife cheated on him and he found out, or something that really triggered him, or has some voices that talk to him, or other demons that exist. You don't need a deep story, like I said, but I don't know. It just didn't feel like enough depth to the characters. The only character that you really felt anything for was I forget her name in the movie, but the Galen Ross character, the main I'll say main heroine of this. She's the only one you kind of like get attached to a little bit. Other than that, you don't really give a shit about the characters. So when they start getting killed off, you're just like, okay. As far as the kills, a couple of the kills are pretty good. I'm going to get into a little bit of spoilers now, so if you don't want spoilers, definitely tune out. I will say, I haven't rated this one yet on Letterboxd, so out of 5, I would give this about 2.5 stars when I go to write the review on there. I just didn't really, there wasn't any lines that stood out from any of the characters, like, sayings or something, or any kills that really jumped out at me or anything like that to make this a real memorable film, aside from the theme song there at the end when the credits roll. That's pretty catchy, probably the best part of the movie. So if you guys are checking out, thanks for watching. I'm gonna get into a couple spoilers now as I talk about the kills. You do get a couple decapitations in here, and they look pretty decent, not too bad. I think the blood is actually probably a little underwhelming, to be honest. I think it could have been a little more gory in those scenes. I mean, you're getting your fucking head cut off. I expect like gushing or something. That's your one chance to really go over the top and really push it and make the gore just extreme. But still pretty decent. The blood looked, the coloring of the blood and everything looked pretty good. And you get like a hanging in there as well, which kind of doesn't really go Madman Mars's way there at first, and has to kind of improvise with his kill on that one. I'm trying to think of what else. You get I already said decapitations, but you get the one decapitation where the woman gets the hood of the truck slammed down on her, and then other people go to try to start the truck and figure out why it won't start. There's a little something in the way. Aside from that, yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this. It was just lacking for me. I think the main appeal to this movie, there's a few shots in here where you see like his shadow or something like that, or the scene where you see just him in the shadows, his silhouette of Madman. That scene's pretty memorable, and I think just the way that he looks. I mean, he's got his nose bitten off. He's got all these scarrings. I mean, there's a scene in here where one of them's knocking his hand out of the bus. It was that Galen Ross character. Is that her name? Galen Ross? And it seems pretty rubbery on that scene, but it still looks decent enough to be believable. I think his character looks cool. I mean, and that's probably the main thing that keeps people watching this movie and keeps this movie going is just the look of the character and that theme song. It's not one I'm gonna revisit a lot. It's for an hour and a half movie. It felt longer. Like I said, certain scenes just drag on a little bit too much. Again, if you guys already have the Blu-ray release of this, I think you're good with that original release. The only reason to upgrade this at all would be for this awesome slipcover. If you guys are completionists for Vinegar Syndrome, which you're probably a subscriber if that's the case and you're going to get this anyways, or you just really, really love this movie, for whatever reason, you do get that one new feature on here, that new interview with Galen Ross, which was pretty interesting. You find out some information about the film. Them not shooting this till like the fall because they couldn't get the funding and stuff. It was supposed to be like a summer movie. People had to like paint leaves green because they were turning. And it's definitely doesn't feel like a summer camp movie because they're all wearing like freaking cardigans or whatever the hell you want to call them. And like you can tell they're wearing layers of clothing and shit. So it definitely doesn't have that summer vibe to it. But that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, you can go camping any time of year, so I didn't think of it as a summer camp film when I was watching it. I don't know. Your other features on here were just ported over from the previous release. You got a commentary track with the director and producer Gary Sells, actress Paul Ellers, who played Madman Mars, and Tony Nunziata. Commentary track with A Series Continues, interview with creator-producer Gary Sells, an introduction by Gary Sells, Alive at 35, a featurette with Gary Sells, Paul Madman Ellers, and Richie, actor Tom Candela. The Legend Still Lives, 30 Years of Madman, a feature-length making-of documentary by Victor Benocor. Original theatrical trailer, still galleries, in memoriam featurette, TV spots, music inspired by Madman featurette, Dead Pit interviews with Gary Sells and Paul Ellers. So decent amount of features. Again, region free on the 4K. I believe it's region free. Yes, it is region free on the Blu-ray as well. And restored in 4K from the 35mm camera negative, English subtitles. So a decent amount of features on here. Like I said, you only get the one new interview, though. So if you already have the Blu-ray, unless you're just completely obsessed with this film, I don't really see a reason to purchase this other than the slip and being a completionist of Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah. And the original Blu-ray release came with the DVD as well. So if you guys have that release and you get this one and you just want to keep the DVD as well, then you can just combine them together or whatever, or not. All right, so that's really about it for this release, guys. Not a whole lot to say about the movie. I will say, it kind of threw me off, and my kid said something too. He watched this with me, and at the beginning when they summon Madman Mars, the one kid throws a rock and it goes through the window of his house, which after they leave the campground, his house seemed pretty far away as they were walking. I don't know how the hell he managed to throw something that far, and didn't look like he threw it very hard. But yeah, like I said, decent 80s slasher, just kind of lacking for me. Wasn't anything spectacular. There weren't any real unique kills. I mean, maybe at the time they were with the decapitations and stuff, but after watching so many slasher flicks and horror movies in general, this one seems pretty tame. But I do like the look of Madman Mars, and I love the slipcover, and all around is a solid release. But if you own the Blu-ray, not a real reason to upgrade. I would wait for a next sell or something like that if the slip is still available by then. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't want to keep you guys too long. I'm trying to keep these reviews somewhat short for you guys, not taking too much time of your day. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, peace, love, and happiness to all of you. And I will catch you guys next time. Later.